Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. If you haven't guessed it, you've tuned into the Vitamin D with Dawn Dai podcast, and I am your host, Dawn Dai, here to get you excited about your life so that you can live life on purpose and for purpose. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you for choosing you because Vitamin D, let me tell you, is a pun off my name. My name is Dawn, which is the sun, so I'm here to shed light into your life. But let's be clear. When we talk about shedding the light, that's on the good and the bad, because if you want to be better and you want to do better, guess what? You're going to have to be able to see better, okay? And we do that by instilling that you are your greatest asset because at the end of the day, I'm here to get excited about my life. And I couldn't be more excited today because, as I've told you time and time again, this is my dream. And I have a special friend that's joining me today. Now, just so that we got this clear, I want to make sure I say it right. He is an award-winning television host, a fashion designer, a celebrity stylist. You can say he's both an image maker and a therapist, kind of like that whole ordeal of working on the outside in. You may be familiar with him, known as the man behind the curves, also known as the stylist to one of the women that I look up into the industry so much, Queen Latifah. He's styled Angela Bassett, Lenny Kravitz. I mean, the list could go on and on. And let me not forget the late, the great, the voice, Miss Whitney Houston. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this conversation. It's time for your dose of vitamin D.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about your life.
Mr. Snell.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. How you doing? Welcome to my dream.
You know what? It's great to be a part of your dream because I've heard about this dream a long time and you're out here doing it. It's great to be in a dream that is a happy dream.
Yes.
And I'm here to participate and, have great conversation and just share some of my experience, my adventures, my opportunities with you and what I've done, what I'm doing now, and where I'm going.
Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping we can inspire some people on the way.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, having conversation is, at the end of the day, you want people to have a great takeaway.
Right.
That's anything you do in life, you want people to take something away from it that's valuable. Even if you're cooking for them, you want them to take away a fed stomach. You want them to feel good about what they ate. No matter what, in any situation, I think it's, especially in this climate, we have to do things to make us feel good and make other people feel good as well.
Right. Because we walk away with kind of like 3 principles: to be informed, inspired, and entertained. I feel like that's kind of like the pinnacles that drive us in life.
I agree. I think it's challenging, but in life, I think that we always have to reach out for something that's better than ourselves. And when we reach out for things that are better than ourselves and encourage ourselves, that's how we keep moving forward and that's how we keep going towards the possibility. Because that's what life is. Every day you wake up in the morning is a possibility for something to turn over in your life. And it's a sign that the universe and God is not done with you yet.
Hello?
So you might as well make the best of it.
It ain't a period until it's over, right?
It's not a period until it's over. And then after the period, the spirit still lives.
Hey, come on.
The soul is at rest, but the spirit lives.
Wait, we about to go to church. Like, you better hold on, okay?
It's that upbringing, my mom and my family and stuff. I was raised in church, so, you have a foundation. It's just like with anything, you get a foundation. Just like I went to design school that pivoted me here to where I am today. You need that foundation. You need something to work with. You need that knowledge and that power to keep you strong, to keep you focused, to keep you mighty, and to keep you powerful.
All right, and it's a testament as to why you've been able to be featured on the Queen Latifah show, the Steve Harvey show on Watch. I mean, you've had your own show, but we're going to dive into that and even talk about how we met. First, for anybody that's just tuning in, tell us about who you are.
Okay, I am Timothy Snell, man behind the curves, and, I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. I come from a family. I have a sister named Tracy. My parents are no longer with us. My parents raised us together. I came from a middle-class Black family. I felt very fortunate in a lot of ways growing up because I had opportunities growing up as a kid that weren't afforded to a lot of other Black kids and stuff growing up, but I felt very advantaged, and I was always trying to take my friends along for the ride. Like my sister and I took swimming lessons. We took judo. I played the saxophone. My sister played the clarinet, and she played the piano. These are things that my parents kept us involved in to keep because, they didn't want us to stray from anything, and they kept positive adults and positive people around us as we grew up as kids. And, I grew up, singing in the church choir.
Oh.
You know me, I sing all over the place. You know me, I'm a singer in my car. I consider my car to be my concert hall and my office. So I do that kind of thing. And then when I was about 17 years old, I got a chance to sing on the Las Vegas Strip as a background singer.
What? How come I didn't know that?
There's a lot of things that people don't know about me.
Wait a minute.
There are a lot of things.
So you were about to be a singer?
Well, the interesting thing about it is my sister, when I said I was going to leave, when I was leaving home to go to design school, she said, I don't know why you're going to design school. Why don't you just go and do session work and just become a singer? And I never really thought about that. I didn't have the opportunity and I didn't think about it. But looking back on it in hindsight, I think to myself, God, my sister saw something in me that I didn't realize, and she dropped that nugget at me and I didn't pay attention to it. But yeah, I've been singing all my life. My mother and her sister growing up used to go around in their town. My mother was born in, her name was Helen.
Yes,
and
Helen.
Her sister's name was Maddie. And they grew up and they could really sing. They could harmonize. They would take a poem and make a song out of it. They were in that period around the Lena Horne era and all of that stuff like that. They didn't have the opportunity that some of the opportunity that has been afforded to me as wasn't afforded to my mom and her sister and stuff, but they could really sing. My mother was a great alto soprano singer. I mean, she could blow. And she had a really powerful voice, and so did her sister. And so it just runs in my family. I never knew if my dad could, I don't even know if I ever had my dad sing, but my dad could whistle, and I inherited it.
You will be on a whistle. You'll be in the car with
I inherited that from my dad. I'm a strong whistler. Like I'll whistle up a Mariah Carey song in a minute and hit those notes with a whistle.
Right.
I mean, that's my thing. I mean, but yeah, that's where I started, Las Vegas, Nevada. I still go home periodically. I still see the same friends that I grew up with and their parents and the cousins and stuff like that. And it's really nice to go home, to feel valued.
Just rooted at times,
and be appreciated and say, we're proud of you. You're doing a good job. And, all of that stuff really, just grounds you. Makes you feel, okay, and makes you feel cool.
It makes the climb up much easier because you know that your roots are planted, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think what your parents instill in you is what you take to your grave.
Wow. And, just me knowing you personally, like you have a really strong connection with your mother.
Mm-hmm.
You were always close with your mother. Was she into fashion?
Always. Yes, that's where I think I got the love of it from. My mother would go and shop at I Magnum, which was a really big boutique store in Vegas. So she would go to the high-end boutiques. If she could not afford it, she could copy it in her mind and go home and make it.
Shut the front door.
Mm-hmm. So I grew up around the sewing machine. I grew up around my mother would be in the bed with my dad watching TV, doing needlepoint. And I have pillowcases that my mom made for me and my sister with needlepoint and things like that. So she was a creative. And so was my father. My father worked as a head bellman at the one of the hotels for many, many years. But before that, my father went to college. He went to Grambling State in Louisiana.
Oh.
He was a college man, and he had a really green thumb. He liked the outdoors. We had a beautiful yard growing up. The landscaping was beautiful. The lights around the house. I mean, he took a lot of pride in his yard and his cars because he washed his cars all the time. I have pictures of my dad leaning on his car in the 60s.
Just getting his car
clean and beautiful and everything like that. So, yeah, I really think that I've had the best of both worlds, getting the creative aspect from both parents. But my mother was the driving source of the creative when it comes down to style and fashion and things like that, because it's what I saw.
Right. And I'm wondering, was your mother, did she embrace that and cultivate that with you? Or is that something that you kept to yourself? Like,
It's something that I kept to myself. I didn't really talk about it because you have to think about it. I was raised up in the early 70s. It's a totally different thing compared to what it is today. You weren't available to be as free as you are today as a young creative, coming out and trying things. Everything was about being masculine and being the boy, the baseball boy playing baseball or whatever like that. And like I said before, my dad put us in judo classes. Me and my sister took martial arts. He wanted us to be able to protect ourselves and different things like that. And so for me, it wasn't stifled, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't
nurtured. It wasn't watered. It wasn't saying here. It wasn't taken away, but...
Oh, it was never taken away. It was always, great job. Good. That's beautiful. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That type of stuff. Things like that.
So did you feel like growing up I guess you were sketching different things that...
I was sketching, right. I've always been like a writer. I would keep journals before I knew what journals were.
Really?
I was very young and I've gotten away from a lot of that stuff, but all of that stuff that was, I guess, wasn't foreign to me, was foreign to the world as people out doing it, as people talk about it today.
Oh, so how did you branch over? Because I know there's plenty of people that probably maybe want to be a stylist, maybe want to be a doctor or anything, and people aren't necessarily cultivating that or in that environment. So,
well, the interesting thing for me is after high school, I went to my father and I said, John, I'll never forget this conversation. I said to my dad, I want to take a year off. And he looked at me and he said, a year off from what? I said, well, I want to figure out where I'm going and what I'm doing and where you're going to go to school, and you're going to figure out what you're doing and where you're going. My father was really about education. His side of the family are college professors. They have doctorate degrees. They have master's degrees. He is really about that fine education. My father was a part of that circle. And I didn't know then what I knew now. I was upset about it and whatever like that, but I did understand. I went to regular community college, just trying to figure it all out, taking those basic courses. But then I prayed one day and I said, God, what do I do naturally that could be my career?
Oh, interesting.
Because I would sketch clothes every now and then, and I love clothing, and I love the idea of fashion for men and women. I love that fashion tells a story about a person, how they dress. It articulates to another individual or the world how they think of themselves in some cases. So I went to, started taking some primary like fashion courses and stuff like that just to figure it out. And then one day, this guy said to me, there's a college in LA, there's FITM, and there's all these other colleges that you should look into. So I looked into it, and I went to school, and I was fortunate enough, my mom took me, and she paid the initial tuition to get in and stuff like that for me. And because I went to school right after my father passed away. My father was 48 years old, healthy as we thought he was. 48. Healthy as we thought he was. My father wasn't overweight. He was a vitamin taker. He was an active man. But you know what? People didn't pay attention to science with heart disease back then as they do now. You know what I'm saying? So my dad died in February and I left home in September going to college. So in college, I found myself. It was a freedom that I had never known before. And I didn't work as hard as I thought I should have worked. But
wait, let me ask you this. When you say you found yourself, what do you mean by that?
Well, it was a chance for me to be free, to be who I wanted to be.
And who was that?
A gay man that just wanted to be free and just wanted to be whomever I wanted to be and not judge for who I am, but just judge for the character of who I am as a man.
Yeah.
Because, when you're 19, 20, 21, you're very young in head. You're very young in thought, and you don't know really how to be a man. You have to learn how to be a man. And for me, I was always aware that being a man didn't necessarily mean the measure of your masculinity or your testosterone within your body. Being a man was taking care of your family and taking care of your business and being of service and being responsible and those type of things. Because those are the things that my father showed me. So those are the things that I have in me. So, it was a lot. It was becoming free from that and just becoming who I wanted to be, experimenting and dating and doing stuff and being creative and not having someone to tell me when to get up or it's time to go or time to do this or, whatever like that. So, that was all, when I look back at it in hindsight, that's a lot. It's a lot for a person to hold on to. But I will tell you about as we talk, I'll tell you about all of the experience. I have a connection to things.
Oh, really?
Because when I left home, I was raised at 421 Elizabeth. 421 is 7.
Okay.
My dorm room number was 717.
What?
Yes. And when I laid in the bed one night, I could see in the ceiling that somebody had written the name Eddie. My father's name was Eddie.
This is in college, you saw this?
My father's name was Eddie. And I asked my roommate in my dorm room, I said, can you look and tell me what is that and what does it say? It says Eddie. And that was a sign to me to let me know that my father's spirit was with me.
Hey.
So I've had all type of things like that happen to me all through life. Just with clients that I work for, the connection to them and the bigger picture. And after graduating from college and going through that whole process, I did really good. I won a lot of awards for best of show, best of category. So I knew I was doing something right.
You had something. You had something that definitely was being nurtured and developing.
Yeah, I knew I had something, but I didn't know where it was going to take me. So I got into the business. I started working. You know, I experienced a lot of racism.
Really?
I mean, I'm 6'4". I'm like 250 pounds. I'm a green-eyed black man, and I can be intimidating.
His eyes are gorgeous.
And I
you
can be
get lost in them.
I can be stop. I can be intimidating because I know how to articulate and how to have conversation and how to say what I need to say very well. And my work, and my sketches, and my book was beautiful because I took pride in my book that I presented for jobs. And I remember years. My friends were getting jobs. I wasn't getting jobs. My struggle was real. And it wasn't because I wasn't talented, because I wouldn't accept that about myself. I know I have talent. The barriers were different back in the early 90s. It was a totally different story. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then confirmation came when I ran up on somebody that I went to interview at this company, and the girl pulled me to the side. She said, you know, we all saw your book. You were very talented, but the owner wasn't going to hire you because you were black. And I thought I wanted,
Wait, what did you say when she said that to you? Was she black?
No, she's white.
Wow.
She was a white woman. And I said to her, thank you for sharing that with me. Yeah. I was really disappointed in that moment, but I really appreciate that because that's something that I felt on many different occasions. But I appreciate you telling me that because you're giving me the confirmation I need to just push ahead. Mm-hmm. And I think that as a black man in fashion, as I am, I mean, there are some struggles and has been some struggles, I would say, and some challenging moments, but things have changed. And things have opened up. And, you know, it's, I don't want to say it's in vogue to be black and to be whatever, but let's face it, for decades and decades, the black experience has been copied to the runway, to lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now I'm just happy to be a part of the conversation.
Your conversation is so much bigger, no pun intended, because you serve a area that, you know, for many have been discouraged from the fashion industry, and that's the plus size field.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, did you know coming in, once you graduated, that you wanted to go to plus size?
Well, my mother reminded me of something. She said to me, you know, when you were in design school, you told me that you wanted to do plus size women's fashion. And I said, oh, I forgot. How did you even think to... How
did you even know of a plus?
I just think that when you're open to prayer and spirit, and you're open to, you're a sensitive person, I think that God gives you things, but I think we can get so jumbled till we can't see, we can't hear discernment. We can't hear it or see it because we're so distracted by other things out there into the universe, be it good, bad, or indifferent or distracted. But my mother reminded me of that, and I thought, oh my God, I forgot all about that.
But so who was the inspiration? Like, I guess because at the time, if you're just seeing everybody like penciled in, let's just say, I know Twiggy was way back then, but just like the Naomi Campbells, you know, all those that were slender, how did you even think that, a plus size girl needs to look good? Because for me, and we'll talk about that later, like someone like you has changed the trajectory of my thought process, my life, everything.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's because when I went to church, I was exposed to women who took pride in the way they looked. And African-American women have curves. But the way they dress, the way they sauntered into church, the way the hats were tilted to the side, to way they didn't wear gloves anymore, but how the handbags and everything just came together a certain kind of way.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was always attracted to that. I was always attracted to the beauty of that and how my mother's friends, because my mother was a great dresser. I remember being no more 9, 10, 11, 12, walking through the mall and stuff, and how men would just stare at my mom as she would walk. She didn't dress sexually. She just had great style. And I just used to think to myself, what are they looking at? But then one day I figured out this woman walked and said, oh my God, that's a beautiful dress and you wear it so well. And I had to begin to hear that more often.
Wear it so well.
I began to hear that more often. Then I began to pay more attention to how my mom dressed and how she pulled herself together and stuff like that. So I have to say that the influence of the women around me, going to church, going to weddings and different things like that, really spoke to me. And also television did, fashion magazines and different things like that. You know, I just paid attention to beauty, and and size didn't matter to me because I was exposed to women of different sizes growing up. So it wasn't foreign to me. It was just a part of my life.
It's so interesting that you say that because, like you said, you quoted in your bio, you said that clothes tell a story about a person, and that that fashion provides a common meeting ground because it's a universal language.
Yeah.
But I guess for someone like myself that grew up as a plus size girl,
right.
Going out ecstatic about going shopping, that wasn't my narrative. That was like, that was horror. Yeah. So it's even interesting to hear you say like, hey, you went to church and you saw all these women. Yeah, and maybe that's the key thing, because as a young girl, as far as curvy clothes, what looked right on me? And as you said before, things have changed since it was back in the day.
Well, things have changed. You have to look at it. But things have changed, but they haven't changed as much. I most recently had a conversation with somebody, and I've been saying this for the longest. Even I used to talk about this on my TV show when I had interviews for my show and stuff like that. I used to always say, the shopping experience is where it all begins. The shopping experience is not online. Everybody's looking for experiences today. They're looking for things to take them out of their norm and bring them to somewhere that's more powerful, more interesting, more pleasurable, more exciting, et cetera, et cetera. And I always thought the shopping experience in plus-size departments is so dismal. They're not set up properly. You
got to go all the way in. You used to have to go all the way in the back in the corner. Why would that make you feel good?
Well, they wouldn't, because really it's changed, but a lot of it used to be afterthought. You have to think about that. A lot of that was afterthought. But now you have such companies such as 𝘲𝘪𝘶 that you can order online. You have an upscale line called 𝘸𝘪𝘵𝘯. You have the curvy fashionista Marie, who talks about fashion, and she's the trailblazer with her blog about fashion, keeping you up on what's happening and stuff like that. And I think that with people like that are in the mix, it's making it different. But I just feel there needs to be places where women of size can go.
Right, just to have a conversation about the curves and what matters. Because
you walk in and you see 5 or 6 other girls that are like a 16 or 18 or 22 or whatever like that, however you want to look at it. But you feel comfortable.
You feel comfortable. And I think that's the big thing about feeling comfortable.
You feel comfortable enough to... hey girl, what's up? That kind of thing. Oh, that looks cute on you. I want to try that too.
Exactly.
That come in my size. That comes in your size. Let me go to the back and get it for you.
Because it can be very intimidating. And I'm just wondering, did you ever practice or did you get any inspiration from your sister? Because you had a whole woman, in the house with you growing up.
My sister's a pretty woman, and I always got inspiration for her for the sense that she doesn't know it, but she followed my mother's sensibility of fashion and clothing. Because now my sister has a daughter who's 19 years old. She's in college. So she wants to show skin, of course, and she has a beautiful figure. And I said to my sister one day, let her show her body. She's very tasteful. She doesn't show a lot because she's young.
Are they both plus size? Are they?
My niece? No. My niece is 5'11" and like 145 pounds.
Okay.
She ain't. No. She ain't, but she works out and she's aware of her body.
Yeah.
And she gets a little thick every now and then when she comes home. She's at home summer right now. When she goes back to school, whatever weight she gains, it'll just drop right out because she's active.
Yeah.
So for me, about anything that has to do with the curvy market is just, it's opportunity, time, and space. Because for the last several years, a lot of people who have a love for it and an understanding for curvy bodies and the curvy market are participating in it. But there are a lot of people that just on it for the money. But if you're going to be in it for the money, hire people and put people in a position who know the job, who live in the body. I may not live in a plus size woman's body, but I live in a plus size man's body.
And
so
I want to ask you about that. So now usually we hear on the other end about models who are plus size. As a plus size celebrity stylist, what was your journey like coming through the industry?
It was so interesting because I just happenstance upon it. I got really kind of disillusioned with the fashion industry because I wasn't getting the jobs that I thought that I deserved and that I was capable of doing and that I knew I could do. So I walked out of a job. This company was called 𝘸𝘪𝘵𝑗 Apparel, and I worked in a division. And I went to work for Z Gallery. And let me tell you how God works. When I went to Z Gallery, this girl worked there part-time. And she said, Larry Flint, who we all know, Hustler magazine, Hustler, whatever, is coming out with this men's magazine for men of color, a fashion magazine. And we've been talking, and you're really into fashion, and you got great style, and you really seem to know what you're doing. Maybe you should interview with them to work on the magazine, to be a part of it. And I just thought to myself, and see, this is where fear steps in.
Let's talk about it. Come on. This is
where fear steps in. Because in my head, I was saying, I don't think I can do this. What am I doing? Why am I doing? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, okay, God, if this is meant for me to be a part of this situation, a part of this magazine called Code Magazine, give me how to do it, how to sell myself. So I was laying in the bed one night, and I was just kind of thinking to myself, and then the word came to me, storyboards. So what I did was I put together 8 storyboards of fashion for men. And what I did, instead of using American men's magazines like GQ, I used European men's magazines to create my storyboards.
And what was the difference that you found?
I found that the European men's fashion boards would relate more to Black men because they were more interesting, they were more stylish, they were more out of the box, they were more unique. So that's the reason I went there. So I met with the publication director, Abby Britton, who had worked for Women's Wear Daily and who had worked for More Magazine, who had worked for Glamour and all these different other magazines, who was going to be over this. A white woman who was going to be over this. But she was hired putting the team together. I went in, I had fashion experience and I had fashion design experience. I put my storyboards up and I became a storyteller. And I sold my vision on how I see the magazine.
And you got that job.
Got that job.
Because you became the first fashion director?
Yes, but let me tell you how that happened.
Oh!
She said, I'm going to bring you in as a fashion editor. I said, okay, a fashion editor assistant. I'm going to bring you in as that. Because the girl that was over it was named Cindy Bolden, who still works in fashion today. She's at InStyle magazine, and I love her to this day. She got a job with Women's Wear Daily. She left the magazine. The publication director came to me and she said, I love you. You're very creative. This is a Black man's magazine. You're a Black man. I'm not going to bring somebody in over you. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know.
Wow.
And she did.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know how this sounds, but have you found that, because you've mentioned 2 people who have really given you direction. Were they people of color?
Well, Abby wasn't a person of color. My direction through life has been given to me by multiple types of people of culture, because that's how my friend base is.
Right.
Friend
the
base
diversity
is
of all that.
So I have been fortunate enough to have a lot of people to give me opportunities. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that's how that happened. And then before I knew it, you got to go to Milan. You have to go to London. And did you ever, when you got your start, did you work with any other brands before you jumped over to Code Magazine? No, I had to create a Rolodex.
Wow.
I had to call people and ask for clothing. I had to build my relationships. Within any job that you do, You're only as good as your relationship.
Come on.
Relationships are important. It's important to nurture your relationships. It's important to be kind to people and be direct and be as polished as you can with how you want to be represented, that you talk to people in the same way.
That's why they say your net worth is your network.
It is. It is. It really is. And that Rolodex is power. That Rolodex used to be, the thing that sits on the desk and do that thing. Now your Rolodex is right here.
It's in your phone. And that can be on social media as well, right?
And social media, Instagram, et cetera. I've met a lot of designers, young, up and coming, BIPOC designers, urban designers that are looking, because I just recently participated in as a judge for the Curvy Fashionista and the Curvy Fashionista and 𝘸𝘪𝘵𝘯. They partnered to look for a Black designer, urban Black designer to feature. And a lot of people applied. I was part of that judging process.
Wow.
They picked something, and they're going to be featured next year in in 𝘸𝘪𝘵𝘯's website and selling clothes.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
So it's really, there's so many things happening and manifesting itself. Kind of that magazine was a thing that turned the trajectory of my life.
Kind of gave you like the launching pad.
It did. And to make a long story short, I did that. The magazine closed, unfortunately, but we did the first award season for magazines and publishing and stuff like that. We won 6 awards, six Maggies. There was nobody like us. And we coined ourselves down the side of our book, the Style Bible for Men of Color.
Wow.
And to this day, once a year, GQ puts out an issue called the Style Bible.
Really?
Mm-hmm, coined by us.
Hello, somebody. Catch it.
I caught it.
Clearly.
And another thing, when we came out with the magazine, Code Magazine, they started featuring at that particular time more men of color in the fashion spreads. So we were making a difference, noticeable little differences.
And what did you find a lot of plus size men then, or is that
no? We worked with models. Now we had. We did covers, and I did a lot. We did Prince as a cover. We did Lenny Kravitz, Lawrence Fishburne. We did Samuel Jackson. He was our premiere cover wearing Oswald Boateng from London.
Come on.
So, we really raised the bar. And because I always say, when people would ask me in interviews when I was with Code Magazine, what makes the man of color different with this magazine? I said, well, the difference is that he can go downtown to uptown, or downtown, uptown would be Harlem, downtown to do a black tie affair with a tuxedo on. He can go home, put on his jeans and his Timbs, open up his shirt, take off his bow tie, keep his jacket and his crisp white shirt on, and go right on to the uptown and hang with his boys.
Hey, versatility.
And because we are the arbiters of fashion in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
And if somebody's just wondering, what do you mean by that?
Well, the interesting thing about it is they did a round table to come up with the name of Code Magazine. And what was taken away from it, that Black men speak in a lot of code, that they understand each other and they speak in a lot of different ways that people may not understand. And I think a lot of times when people think that Black men may be aggressive or coming a certain way, it's not necessarily, it's the code. It's the way they speak.
It's the culture. This is the way
it's
the move
culture.
is.
It's just the way they speak. So, yeah, I was with that magazine. The magazine folded. And then I got an agent and I started doing music videos and all of that stuff.
So from leaving there, you started doing the music videos. And so when did like the Queen Latifahs, the Angela Bassett's and the Whitney Houston, how did that happen?
That was interesting. I had an agent.
Oh.
Yeah.
So who was first?
The best thing that came out of the whole agent situation for me was getting Whitney Houston. My book was taken to William Morris. It was put in front of Nicole David, Whitney's, one of her, managers, that whole thing over there. And her assistant was a Black woman, Tamara Houston, had been following me doing Code. And she said, because they thought that maybe we should change and maybe try a man with Whitney for a while. And so she saw it and she said, well, let me show you this issue and how he styled Halle Berry for the cover, for the anniversary issue. And then I met Whitney I just kind of bonded. I just kind of naturally.
That like? First of all, first of all, can we rewind a little bit because it wasn't just like meeting Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was one of your idols growing up, right?
Whitney Houston was the first concert I went to in my entire young adult life at the Forum in Los Angeles, California.
What, Snell?
She was my first concert. My first concert. And Whitney's full name was Whitney Elizabeth Houston. I was raised on Elizabeth Street.
Come on.
I mean,
421 Elizabeth.
There's certain things that just kind of happen in your life if you pay attention, that you see the parallel.
It is always kind of like there, and we're just kind of looking outside. But wait a minute.
The parallel.
Who would have ever thought, and I think that's the power in what we talked about starting off and dreaming. Who would have ever thought this young boy has a love for this? And then you up here working with her? Wait, tell me about the concert. Tell me about when you met her.
My friend 𝘠𝘪𝘵𝘯, which is one of my dear friends, said, I got tickets for us to go to a concert. I'm thinking, I was like, oh God, what is this concert going to be? You know, because my girl, she had very different taste about music and stuff like that, which I appreciated. Because at that time, we were listening to The Cure and all these other kind of things. Because, you know, I've just been very open about my music. I like all types of music. So she said, no, we're going to go see Whitney Houston. I almost fell down because she knew how much I loved her. So we had nosebleed seats. But I was sitting in the benches, and I could hear her sing. Her voice was so amazing. I thought, it crossed my mind. I thought to myself, well, I would like to work from her.
Wow.
And you know how you get...
Well, you better speak it, Snell. The reason why I had to pause real quick, because you know I have life tatted in my mouth. Snell, don't act like you didn't know that.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And the fact that you were able to speak that into existence, what?
And I just kind of said it. Just kind of, you know how you just kind of say something? You're not really paying attention. You just say something. I was kind of like, God, I'd like to work with her. And then I just went on to the melody of the music, "Love Will Save the Day" or whatever she was singing. I just went on. It was a thought.
Come on.
And it was me just speaking something that was in my head. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think my friend heard me because I didn't broadcast it. It was just a thought for me. The interesting thing about this,
come on,
before I got Whitney, I was going through a hard time. I wasn't making the kind of money I thought I needed to make. I just felt like, God, I've struggled so long. What is going on? Why is these things? Why can't I just get myself through the door? I know what I bring. The Preacher's Wife was out. And we had $2 movie theater or $3 movie theater. And there was something about that movie that encouraged me and made me feel full and made me feel like I can do this. I can keep going.
Because why did you feel like you wanted to stop?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know that I wasn't going to say I was going to give up completely, but I was challenged.
What was the challenge?
The challenge was things weren't happening the way I thought they should happen. They weren't happening quick enough. It wasn't happening. I was working with people that I could tell them what the job to do. Like, how are you getting that check for $500,000 a year? And I'm telling you what to do?
Right.
Why am I? Something's wrong here. So I saw The Preacher's Wife like maybe 4 or 5 times at the theater. And I would sit there, I would go to the movie. Nobody even know. I just go by myself and just sit there and watch the movie. And I didn't know that God was preparing me to work with this woman for 15 years. To the day she died, I worked with her.
You worked with Whitney for 15 years?
A long time. Long time. I traveled the world with her. I worked with her. I just had a great time with her. I was just like, because when I got the call, my agent, I was in New York. She took me out to lunch, and I just sat there like, is this really happening? It just seems so weird. I mean,
wait, Snell, you hold.
What?
You don't sit here and tell me that you got a call working for Whitney Houston. And
my agent called me. No, my agent called and said that.
What was the room like? What were you doing? The phone.
I don't know where I was. I don't know what room I was in. I don't know what happened, but I was in disbelief.
Wow.
I work this way. When things shock me or things overwhelm me, I get quiet. I go in.
Come on.
I go in because I don't know if that's fear. I don't know what that is, but that's me kind of like,
dealing, yeah.
Oh. So,
wow.
One of my first jobs with her.
Wait. What did you do when you first met her? What was that like?
Well, I couldn't stop grinning. But I knew that beyond being a fan, I had a job to do.
Come on.
So I came in with my racks of 𝘗𝘪𝘵 𝘃𝘠. Who else did I have on that rack? Gucci and everybody else, because it was a project that needed to be suited. And you'll understand why I'm saying suited, what we did. So I'm doing the job and whatever like that. We did the fitting and it went beautifully. I learned a lot about her. And the first thing she said to me was, she said, it's so sweet. She said, you have great taste. You don't have to bring so many clothes for me. You can shorten it and I trust you. We will figure it out and, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay. So we did the fitting. I went back to my hotel and the next day we did the Diane Sawyer interview. That was my first job with her. I got history all surrounded over me. I have history all around me.
So, okay, you walk in. Wait, okay, so the first time she said, you have great taste, bring a smaller moment. Mm-hmm. You're just like, wow, that was regular. Mm-hmm. Then the first interview, what happened? Like, what was, Well, she was up in hair and makeup. I wasn't at that place to hang in that kind of, and sometimes when hair and makeup is going on, after we've talked creative, I kind of like to step out and just, do my steam clothes if I'm with an assistant or whatever, and just kind of like, then I get my time, which is usually 5 or 10 minutes because we're running out the door. But it was interesting. You traveled the world.
I went everywhere.
I can't even imagine the things that you see now. Because we're not talking about, I think there's a difference of the celebrityism now, especially because we are able to see them on Instagram as easy access. Before, you had to show up. And this is a time when, we're talking about, Michael Jackson fame. We're talking about shut down the street. You can't move.
To travel with
it's
a superstar like that is crazy. We're in the hotel. There are hundreds of people outside waiting just to get a glimpse.
Just a glimpse.
I mean, we went everywhere. I've been everywhere from Hong Kong to Japan to Moscow to St. Petersburg. I've been to Barcelona. I've been to London countless times, Paris countless times.
Wow.
I've been to so many places that I can't even, and for work, also New York, that's just a regular. It's like LA for me. But just so many countless, and to travel in such style, but also have the gift of staying in such luxury at the hotel because you're with that A-lister and you're with that client who wants to be near her clothing. So it's really a remarkable experience.
So what is one of your favorite memories with working with Whitney?
I think one of my favorite moments is with Whitney is just we just sitting down talking and she said, you know what, you remind me of my family. You feel like you're my family. And I think that was one of our sweet moments. And then we had a moment one day when I went to her and I said, I will always be here to dress you. I will never judge you. And I'm here for you and I love you. And I think that really spoke to her and she just listened and I just poured myself out to her. And I think in that moment, within the first 6 months of us working together, solidified that relationship forever.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And you said that you worked with her until she departed.
Right.
Do you remember that day? Where were you? What happened? Well, how did you find out?
Well, I was... It's so interesting to me how God will give you a gift. I did not talk to Whitney that often before I went to her. But her assistant, her handler, who is a personal handler, personal handlers to pack for them and to make sure they got everything they need and stuff called me and said, hey, Tim, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm getting ready to head over. She said, Whitney, want to talk to you for a minute. I said, okay. And she said,
this is the night, the day of?
Yes, hours before.
Oh,
I was
hours before she passed.
And the assistant said, she wants to talk to you. I said, yeah, put her on. She said, I can't find those drop diamond, beautiful costume, the jewelry some earrings that, and she wanted a duplicate pair. And I said, oh, that's not a problem. I'll just grab some on my way to you. She said, I really appreciate it. I don't know where I misplaced it. And she said, thank you, baby. And I'll see you in a little bit and I love you. And I said, I love you back. And that was it.
Wow.
And then I got to the hotel to Mayhem. So that's what happened.
Wow.
And that's all I want to say about that.
Wow. I mean, and it's just so interesting. And that's what I talk about, just kind of like I mentioned before, how it's so important to speak into existence what it is that you want.
I really do think so. But I'm going to tell you another thing too. God doesn't let things sneak up on you.
Come on.
Because 6 months before she passed, I could not shake the song, I Will Always Love You. I'd wake up with it in my head and I'd go to bed with it in my head. I could not shake it. And I tried to shake it and I tried to shake it. I could not shake it. And I think that when we, like I said, when we truly pay attention to what's ours and what's in the universe and I don't think that nothing can really hugely surprise you. I think in preparation, it prepares you for what's coming. And so that was my experience.
So, all right.
I'm giving you too much.
No,
I'm
it's
just sitting up here pouring my cup right on out.
And I'm souping it up. And I'm sure whoever's listening, like, they can say, wow. But then, this is what I'm wondering. Mm-hmm. How did you switch from working with the Whitney Houston to be coined as the man behind the curves? How did you get to the curvy side? I
had always worked with curvy women. I worked with Monique for a while. I worked with Angela Bassett for 5 years. And I just... when I got with Latifah, I think because at that point, 11 years ago, the spotlight had always been on her.
Which one?
Latifah. Mm-hmm. And she worked with the stylist, a dear friend of mine, before I started working with her. Susan Moses had changed the game, how she looked. And I just went in and kind of just like kept the game moving with her sensibility and her style look. And when you're a woman that's a 16, people always wonder, how do you look so good and don't look like you're plus size?
Come on.
And my answer to that is because I look at her as a woman. I look at her as someone who wants to look good. And the fabric, you just happens to be a little bit more fabric. I don't approach it as a plus size woman. And I think that's what has given me the freedom to dress women so well that are plus size, because you just have to post them. You have to approach it as if this is someone who wants to be a part of the conversation and look the best that she can.
Right. Being a part of a conversation. I can't tell you what it's like to be not in the conversation as being a curvy girl, of feeling embarrassed to go to the store. I can only tell you how many times I did not go out to when I lived in New York, sometimes I didn't go out to different lounges and clubs, and even younger, because I didn't have anything to wear. And it is a horrible place to be in. And it's one thing to say, it is about confidence, but it's like, you don't know where to look, especially when you can say in a situation of you don't see anyone that looks like you. You're not walking in a store where the first person you see or the mannequin you see looks like somebody that will wear something that you have on.
Yeah, and I had to find designers that wanted to work with us, who wanted to be a part of the conversation. And I would go into the showrooms in New York and different, make that right there in a size, make that, do that. And they would look at me and say, oh, that'll work. I said, it absolutely work. Because when you have, just why sometimes I wouldn't allow my assistants for certain clients go shop for them, because they didn't have the eye to see beyond what they see. Because sometimes you have to look at something and know the possibility
the vision
of it. You got to have the vision for it. You got to have the vision for where you can take it and where it can go.
Come on.
And for me, I've always had the vision of a life for my clients that they would be exceptional no matter who they are. But the love of curvy is natural to me. Mm-hmm. I'm a big guy. I have to dress myself in imagination, and things to make myself look cool that are not your typical or your norm, because I know how I want to look. So it just all kind of flows over to the curvy girl as well.
I love that, because when you talk about, having the vision, it sounds like you're talking about creating of being limitless. And I feel that oftentimes when you think about being in a plus size realm, you're in a box, you're contained. But instead you have the outlook of how much more and how much more you can do. And I'm just wondering, looking at the plus size industry now,
right,
and even looking back then, why do you feel that, or maybe it's still, having now, why do you feel that there are limitations on plus size clothing? Is it bigger than just, I don't want to make anything for you? Is it something underlying? Is it about material? Is it about production? What's up?
There are a couple of different stories with that. First of all, you have to think each designer has an image of how they want their brand to look. And if they don't want to share that brand with the plus size woman, that's their vision, that's their thing. That's why we have to create the new bodyguards of curvy fashion. That's why we have to look for and find people who are willing and wanted to design for that body type. So there are more opportunities, and there's much more clothing to pick from. Just say, for instance, Well, there are enough curvy designers out there. So what do you mean there are enough curvy designers? There are thousands of designers that are designing straight sizes. Why can't there just be thousands of designers designing plus size women's clothing? Why are you making it? Why do we have to put a muzzle on it? Why do we have to do? We don't have to, because I live in the possibility. And what the possibility is that I see it bigger than what it is. I see it on a larger scale and on a bigger level. I've wrote some shows and stuff that I based around things like this and stuff like that. And I've done pitch meetings and I'm looking to do more. So if you're out there listening and you want to meet with me to do a pitch meeting about TV shows, please give me a call.
Gotcha.
Please hit me up. I just think that we have to, let me say this. The plus size market is a very personal space. Mm. The girls know each other. The people know each other. They network with each other. They're friendly with each other. They're cool with each other. And I think outsiders coming in sometimes can be a little bit too much, especially when they know they're not in it for the whole overall personal kind of thing.
And when you say outsiders, what do we mean?
Well, people who really don't understand the girl.
Language, yeah.
They don't understand the brand. They don't even know the body type. They're just getting a check. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's so interesting because I've heard you say this before. I mentioned in the episode of just having this curvy conversation, because it's like curves have something to say too. And it's that language of saying, hey, I'm here. Can you see me?
Well, I think the word curvy has changed, and I think that it's all inclusive now. And I think that I just feel like that word is not as, it is important, and a lot of women love using the word. But I think even the way the retailers try and have been trying to mix clothing sizes amongst everybody else, I think there's nothing more special than a woman who is a size 0X or a woman who is a size 4X or 5X, where she can go to a place within a department store that's fabulous and feel like nothing but her size is going to be around her, which brings us a huge comfortability. What makes you feel power in numbers? Right.
You want to feel like you're included. So what do you feel are some of the challenges that brands do face other than you may not see your clothing on that type of body type, to make sure that the clothing is more inclusive for everybody? Well, What's happening?
I think brands, especially designers who want to design for plus women, they need opportunity. They need department stores and stores to get behind them and bring them into stores and take chances on them. Opportunities have to be created for them to come into the stores and do capsule collections through introduction and stuff like that. That's why you see a lot of people doing stuff on Instagram. They're doing their own stuff, got their own websites.
Right, because I guess if they're not going to move, then you might as well just be the person that moves as well, right?
Yes, but see, people are also looking for experiences. There is nothing like an experience to go, okay, I have shopped everywhere, every major boutique, everywhere, London, Paris, everywhere. Beverly Hills, whatever. There's nothing like going into boutique, being offered champagne, water, or whatever, and sitting in a beautiful surrounding, and clothing is just being brought out to you for your client or with your client or however like that. How often do women of size get to experience that, and have they experienced?
Heck, we just said how you got to go back in the corner to even see what's on.
The only one boutique in Beverly Hills that really does that, and I've worked with them before many, many times and done parties with them and events, is Marina Rinaldi, who is a family with Max Mara. So it's happening. It's becoming big. It's changing. But we have to support the women with these voices that are saying what their needs are, and we have to pay attention to that.
And how do we do that?
But to keep listening to people, and people with the coin got to come up and give the bread to make it happen.
So if you know of a curvy designer, a stylist out there, what would you say to them?
I would say stay steadfast, keep doing what you do, follow the market, to thine own self, be true with your designs. Don't try to be like somebody else, be like you, because that's going to make you stand out and be more unique. And
it's already done. So let me ask you this. You talked about, we did a solicit out there talking about you have the ideas for the show, but you and I met on your premiere show, a show that's never been done, anything like that before.
Never. The first time ever they had a show on television that focused on nothing but curvy women makeovers and curvy women's bodies and needs. Curvy Style with Timothy Snell, DET. Curvy Style with Timothy Snell, BET. To this day, I still get women that hit me up on Instagram. I wish, it's in reruns right now. I get hit up, oh my God, I just saw your show. I didn't know it was out there. It's amazing. When is the second season coming? When is this happening?
I have had people hit me in the UK like, oh my gosh, I just saw you on TV. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And that was a few years ago now. So my question to you is do you remember how we met?
Yeah, I remember how we met.
Well, tell them how we met, Snell. What happened?
Well, the showrunner...
Make sure they know, Mother Mary
said, I have this girl I want you to meet. And I'm somebody who has a hard time with somebody trying to tell me what to do.
He's a Sag.
Yeah, I'm Sag through and through. So I was like, huh? You want to meet this girl? Yeah, I think she's perfect for young town. She'll be great. So I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, okay. So you showed up.
And I have the picture.
And we were sitting there on the couch with the camera on us to see
in this house in Beverly Hills,
what
right?
our chemistry would be like.
Yeah.
And I had to tell you to be quiet because I said, listen, who's interviewing Hugh here? Slow your roll. This one here, slow your roll, everybody. Slow your roll. Slow down. So basically, I said, okay, there is a light in her. There is a spark, and she's funny. And she's pretty, and she is a true curvy girl. Okay, absolutely. Whatever, Mary. Let's just roll with it. We got a show to do. Let's make it happen. Let's make it powerful. And we had a good time. We were the first.
The first.
We were the first. I can always say I was the first. I had a billboard in Times Square.
Hey.
We did a great BET. They did a great commercial for us.
We had a whole premiere in New York. Okay, it was fabulous. You brought out everyone.
I had so many supportive people coming out to support this because it matters, and it still matters.
It matters so much.
And I want back in on television in this venue because this is very important, and we have to keep celebrating. And I had already worked out the second season on how different it was going to be and what it was going to look like, and we did get picked up, but things happen. Things
It's
happen.
always working for our greater good, right?
You know what? Because I don't look back, I look forward. So whatever's coming forward is going to be bigger and better than that.
Well, let me look back real quick on just sidebar.
Uh-huh.
Did I tell you how I appeared in front of you? Did I tell you about that moment?
Mm-mm.
Back down memory lane. All right. Let me tell y'all what happened. First of all, kind of like how Snell has talked about how with Whitney Houston, how you just put it out there and left it alone. It's interesting because I'm looking at my journey and how you've encompassed, how you made your way in my dream, because probably who your Whitney Houston is my Queen Latifah. So this whole moment, this huge. Okay. If anybody who knows me knows how much I admire that woman. So let me tell you what happened.
What happened?
I was working at this production company, and after I moved out to LA, and this wasn't the fulfillment for Dawn. And I said I had to do more. So I actually resigned. I asked to be released from the job, which I was granted. So I was out there doing Uber, and I had just recently moved or relocated from New York to LA. So I had signed up for all these casting agencies, backstage, whatever. And so they were looking for people to have a makeover. Oh. And it's just so interesting. Everything that you've been talking about, vision, dreaming, possibility. They said they were looking for some plus size women to make over. Well, if anybody has met me, I'm a plus size girl, but I'm 5'4.5" on a good day. But when you think of models, you're thinking 5'7", oh, not 5'7", 5'11", 10, 6 foot. Yeah. And so what happened was I had received an email notification from Backstage.com. Now, traditionally, the email comes in and it's like a solicit, like, oh, we have an awesome opportunity. Click here. I'm grateful for whoever made the flyer. All the information to be on the show was listed. And so I initially were coming in to be a person to be made over. And when we talk about possibility, I had got in there, had the conversation. They said, wait a minute, well, you already can dress. And, we like your personality. How would you like to have potentially be on the show? And then that's when everything unfolded. I was like, oh my gosh, this man is a stylist for Queen Latifah. Oh my gosh, he's done so much. But more importantly, you spoke to the little girl of Dawn who I'm one that's always been confident and probably really confident in my dreams. But as far as my size, it is something that has a stronghold. Because when you are 12 and 13 years old and you are going to Lord and Taylor to find your Easter suit where you look like a miniature grown woman, it's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
It doesn't
100%.
feel good.
Right.
And to be in the presence of somebody that you make the impossible possible. You make it so that I step in and say that I'm possible and I'm beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it's just me just understanding that everybody wants to be a part of the conversation.
They want to be a part of the conversation.
Everybody wants to dress nice. Everybody wants to look beautiful, and everybody wants to feel good. And when you put those three things together, just think about how okay, when you don't have to worry about how you look.
Come on, Snell.
Or how you feel.
Come on.
Or how you talk or whatever like that, whatever your worry is, you can soar because you don't have that in the back of your head.
Hey, because you're packing light, right?
Yeah, you don't have that in the back of your head thinking about that. When somebody's looking at you up and down, as you're thinking, negative, when you should be thinking powerfully. You know what I mean?
And that's what I loved about your show.
Your best.
And your show said all of that. Curvy Style with Timothy Snell was an outside-in job because, I think oftentimes people can look at like a stylist, like it's so vain, it's on the outside. But it's like, it's true. When you show up and you feel like you look good, you are good. Like you said, that's one less thing for me to worry about. So rather than feeling like, I got to push my shirt down, I got to pull up my pants.
Right.
I'm comfortable to just be Dawn.
Because the clothes fit. The clothes come in my size. I'm not trying to wear something that doesn't fit me, or I'm not trying to wear something that is where I want to be, but they don't make it where I want to be. Mm-hmm. So all of that's important.
It's like you are literally the language that can speak with plus size women and clothing. Well,
definitely. Speaking power into a person's life does not also sometimes just include where the head is. It also includes how your garments are too, because let's face it.
I was telling Jeremiah as we were just preparing for this interview, and I was saying like we all have our gifts that comes out in different ways. Like mine may be out of my mouth, my words. Some people have it in their hands. They're building, they're making, they're putting on clothes. Some people have it with song, drawings, but it's like whatever your song is. And I have my personal trainer on here, and he was saying, it was a quote that he couldn't necessarily pinpoint.
Right.
But he said that making sure that when you have your song, you sing your song, that you're dying on empty. So you're not hoarding all of these, I wish I could have, or I should have, based on because what you feel like on the outside of your size.
Yeah. I think it's important. Even if you're a size 14 or a 16 or 18 or a 20 or a 22, if you feel good about yourself and you can go out there and find what you're looking for to wear, it just manifests so much beauty and so much light.
Right.
Because you feel good.
And when you feel good, you give other people permission to feel good. You walking out, hey, you smiling and bouncing on your way. I'm smiling and bouncing on my way.
It's true. So I have to say that it really, really speaks to a lot of things. When people feel good, they do good.
And that's why, even talking about Curvy Style with Timothy Snell, make sure you just check it out just to see what it's about, because
please do.
There was a lot of work that you were doing. Yeah, we were out there busting out the streets of LA on the pump. Don't forget Miss Naja McKenzie.
Yeah,
love
Naja,
her.
Love Naja.
And we were out there in the streets trying to get the clothing, but there were times that whether you were with your celebrity clients or with the everyday people, you had this conversation, kind of like this breakthrough of talking about their relationship with their clothing, what their aspirations are.
What's in your closet? What's your relationship to your clothes? What's in your closet? Do you have things in your closet that you haven't wore 5-6 years ago? Why is it in your closet?
How long should we be keeping clothes in there?
Well, I think it depends on your style and your trend and your body weight and what you feel comfortable with wearing. I think there are what I call investment pieces. Investment pieces are pieces that are made out of luxury fabrics, that are fabrications that you may get for a higher end designer or something. That would be in a slack, a skinny pant. It may be in a beautiful trench coat. It may be in a beautiful black dress that's made out of exceptional fabric, something. These are called staples in your closet.
Everybody should have their staples.
Yeah, a crisp white shirt or something.
Okay, pants, blazer, you said? Or
pants, a blazer, a skirt, a dress. I mean, those are just to piggyback, to tap on what the basics are in a closet.
Okay.
For instance, when I did the Queen Latifah show, I built her closet. And I built her closet around the basics: jeans, slacks, blazers, blouses, dresses, etc. And then what I call the wink, or call like the style, or call like the throwaway fashion, was the inexpensive stuff that I would just get and pop in for that week, for that special appear that wasn't necessarily an investment piece, but it made a statement. Mm. And that's where your stores come in, like H&M and Zara and all of those stores, and Fashion Nova, and all of these stores like this, and these young upcoming urban designers and stuff, because you're investing in them to get the fashion pieces.
So if you were to think of what's a secret thing that you may have in your styling kit that you feel like every man, woman, child, whomever should have?
Double stick tape.
Double stick tape.
What
about the makeup wipes?
That's my second one. Okay. But your double stick tape, because you can tape your belt down, you can keep your blouses from falling open. If you're missing a button, you can tape a cuff, all of that type of stuff. But then the Pond's makeup removers are my go-to thing. The Pond's makeup removers are wipes that you remove makeup with. It'll take anything out of clothes and will not leave a stain.
And I've witnessed it, because on the show there will be moments. Snell is like, pull out the Pond's, wipe, there you go.
And it dries beautifully, and it doesn't leave a stain, and it takes I found this out from a makeup artist.
Really?
Because she was, we had an early call time for Good Morning America. We went back to the hotel, had breakfast. She wasted raspberry syrup down her white blouse. She said, I'm not worried about it. I'll get it out. I said, well, how are you going to get it out? Pond's makeup wipe remover.
Now, what about, just as a curvy girl, what are some of the things as far as undergarments that everyone should have?
Well, everything begins with a good foundation. Life, your house, everything begins with a good foundation. So I think that's where you should start, with a good bra, with a good body shaper, with a good panty. That's a good investment. Go to your local Macy's. Go to the Macy's store. Go to a department store. Look around. See what will work for you. When I was on the Steve Harvey show one time, I said, a woman, she lost a lot of weight, and she wanted to know, what could I wear? How should I look going forward? I said, well, first of all, congratulations on your weight loss. You lost over 100 and some pounds. The second thing you should do, take a friend. Go to the mall, go to a department store, pull all the clothes you want to try them on, and take pictures of yourself to see before you buy anything, to see what works on your new body. And you're not paying for nothing.
Right.
Maybe I shouldn't say that, but you're not, because you're not sure yet.
Right.
But that's just like a wardrobe. That's like a wardrobe room.
And it gives you a visual representation of, just...
It's a wardrobe room. You're walking through a Macy's. You're walking through a Bloomingdale's. You're walking through. You're trying on. You can go on into the dressing room. You're getting an idea of what your new body will do for you and how you feel. Mm-hmm. And then make a decision on what works for you and what you'd like to add to your closet as you're throwing the old things away.
So with all this expertise, coming down to just your schooling, down to working with your celebrity clients, down to just knowing what works, you had a swimsuit line with Always For Me now.
Always For Me.
Yes. Timothy Snell collection.
Collaboration. I was very proud of it. It was very beautiful. It did okay. I just think it was, we needed more PR behind it, but it's beautiful. And
I was just looking online. It's still up there now if you want to take a look at it. And if you want to check it out, okay?
Please go to Always For
Me. And tell us a little bit, it's kind of like it's a sporty kind of...
It's a sporty kind of swimsuit line. I have pieces in there with the high-cut bathing suit bottom, with the crop tops with zippers, and like a wetsuit that you'd have for it's a legless wetsuit that you would have in black with a long zipper. Mm-hmm. I have one pieces that are color blocked and stuff. It's really cool. I'm very proud of it. You go from the streets
to the beach. Yeah, from the pool to stay cool.
Streets to the beach. I love it. And then there's some cover-ups that are mesh and lightweight and stuff that you can just throw over stuff. Cute. That you can just look cute in and be comfortable.
And you know what I loved about it too is that it gave me that support. Like I felt like I was being supported. I felt smooth. I felt like there's something that I learned from you, especially with clothing. So curvy girls, take note, is about the importance of grazing the body.
Yeah, sometimes clothes should graze the body and not necessarily suck the body. Right. But that's why you shape, slim, and smooth. That's your beginning.
Did you catch that?
You shape, slim, and you smooth. That's how you.
That's a Tim tip.
That's the foundation. That's where you start with the underpinnings. That's why underpinnings are important. You shape, slim, and smooth. And then after you shape, slim, and smooth, that's when you try the clothing on to see how it works and what it works for your body.
What works for your body?
But the clothing line, but the swimwear, every woman that wears that, I have had women to call me, and it's good to know. Is it back
still
up there?
Yes, always from me.
I got to tell some people because
it's summer.
Because what I got from People, it was featured in People magazine as one of the best swimsuits that year that it came out too for plus size women to wear. I have that in my press kit. One of the best. It was featured in People for one of the best swimsuits to wear, because what it does was it was put together, no underwire, but it was made in a way where it supports you and it held you. And it ran over the cheek the right way and everything like that.
It's phenomenal. And I'll say this, I felt so good. Like it was something that I could put on. You know, I had the tankini and then I had the bathing suit, but I could put on some slacks. I can put on a lot more with it. It was something that...
The tankini top you could put on with a huge ruffle border maxi skirt with some flip-flops and just wear it at the beach after you sat at the beach and lounged at your beach and you want to go to the bar and drink. There were so many different ways to wear it, because I think when you design stuff for people, we have to be versatility with design, because people have, a lot of times, if it's not a wedding dress, an evening gown, or a black tie event, you need versatility within clothing. So you can wear your items more often and get your money's worth.
Come on. So let me ask you this. Now, in design school, while you learn the colors, the textures, the patterns, and all that kind of stuff, can you design clothing like, I don't know the proper term, cut it out, make it,
I haven't sewed in years, but when we were in design school, we were responsible to make our own sketch, make our own patterns, design, create our own textile prints if we wanted to create prints. But yes, I know how to make patterns and all that stuff. That's why when I'm with a tailor in a tailoring session with the client, I can look at the garment and tell exactly what needs to be done right away, because I understand fit.
So the question is now, are you going to take us from the beach to the streets? Or can we expect another clothing line from Snell?
I'm working on something to drop for this fall. I want to get my feet wet, and I want to drop something this fall that I'm going to do through Instagram and through online.
Give us, what is it going to...
I'm just coming. It's coming. And it's universal for all curvy women's body types, and I really believe they're going to love it.
Oh, really?
Because I try to think, what's an important that I could drop that a lot of women would want to wear? Even the smaller women, but especially my curvy dolls, my curvy superstars.
Curvy superstars.
That's what I call them.
Now, that's truly exciting. Okay, so now that we know that you did the swimsuit, that you're planning on another line, what else is in store for you?
Well, I'd really like to pen a book. And I would like to pen a book of great makeovers and my before and afters and my journey as being a big person, and how I got inspired and how I come to the position to inspire others and share what I did. Because I want to do an illustration book on like what I did, a before and after. The before, I want to write on the page with the before and after, say, I changed this, I did this. I want to give you exactly what I did to improve the shape and the body.
Kind of like the Curvy script, the all-inclusive script.
All-inclusive. I just wanted, I wanted to be readable, lightweight, and I just, I need a publisher and somebody who believes in it, because I really think it's important that a lot of times women have a style Bible that are curvy on where to go, how to go. This jean works on my body type. Look for that jean. This blazer works on my body type. That A-line skirt works on my body type better than a pencil skirt. These are the things that should be tools that should just be on your body type, what works best on you. So when you go shop and stuff, when you look for those items, you try it on, you're like, wow, that looks great.
Right. And there's nothing better than that feeling of being able to go into a store, put something on, and feel good when you look at yourself. Yes. I can't tell you, just being transparent, the amount of times that I've walked into a store, I've passed by a mirror, and I just say, ugh. And not because, no, just simply because I didn't feel the best in what I had on, but because I didn't know what it looked. So,
well, you and I have styled you for stuff, and I've gotten you to buy things that you didn't think. I never would have looked at that.
Honey, Snell has gotten me a couple of people on several occasions. In fact, I was just showing Jeremiah when we did the premiere for Curvy Style with Timothy Snell, and you had me in that cape gown. Honey, I was cascading around that night. It was everything. And to know that you just whip bam, thank you, ma'am.
Well, I knew it would work on you, and it did. It just made you look like a column. It made you look taller.
Which is definitely what I need. But is there like a basic, like, or a few standard body types that you can give advice to?
You know, there's a pear-shaped, there's a triangle
What works for the pear shape, traditionally?
Well, she has a small waist. So a lot of times she could wear a lot of things that you want to cinch in the waist. If you want to accent your waist, and then you have the triangle, you're heavier on top. So if you're heavy on top, sometimes I like to go with a bigger bottom for a triangle shape to balance the body so you don't look like you have two sticks and you're just a big square on top. That's a body type to play with. And then there's the oval. She's just round all over. That's somebody that you may need to add a shoulder pad to, that you may need to add some gathering and some pleating in different areas just to create some volume to kind of or things just to slim it down. But one of the things that my sister was telling me about, and I find is, and I was doing some consulting with someone. A lot of times, young curvy girls going to show their arms, they're going to show their body, they're going to show whatever they want to show because they are in that Lizzo thing in your head at that point, which is dope. But when a woman gets to be about 35, a lot of them and up, curvy women, they don't like to show their arms. So you have to be creative in how you put a sleeve in something that still shows skin without making you look old.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. When you're at 35, if you show arms, that means you look older? Wait,
no. I'm saying that some women beyond 35 that are curvy, they have bigger arms sometimes, and they don't want to be fleshy. Even some younger, they don't want to show it.
You know, truth be told,
they don't want to show the flab, or something that's jiggly. They want to show something that's covered up, but maybe they need a cold shoulder with the skin showing here. Maybe they need
just to give a peekaboo
down the shoulder to the elbow that shows it opens up and shows some skin, or maybe it's a ruffled sleeve that's just over butterfly. I'm just saying we have to design with everybody in mind, but with your design.
Catch it. Design with everyone in mind.
You have to design with everyone in mind, but you have to be true to yourself when you create your collection.
So it isn't about discrimination. It's just about any art. It's just like, I'm so greedy. You know, the first thing I thought about was food.
Yeah, well,
do you put the egg in your mac and cheese or don't you? It's just personal preference.
It's personal.
And it's just how you want the presentation of your meal, or in this case, how you want your clothes.
How you want your clothes to be. But I think the clothes are just, like I said, a universal language. They speak to all of us. Clothes tell a story about people.
So what's the story that you want to leave with people?
Well, I just want to leave with people that, you know what, I think to thine own self be true. And I think that when it comes down to style is something that people can teach you. You either have it or you don't. But don't be afraid to play with different things to find your own style.
Catch it. Now, if somebody's listening and they want to keep in contact with you and follow up, how do they do that?
They can hit me up on my Instagram, which is Timothy Snell, ONE1, Timothy Snell 1, ONE. And all of my information is there. My business email address is there. And I'm on Twitter, the same thing, Timothy Snell 1, ONE.
Website,
moderncurves.com. So reach out to me, say hello, ask me questions, DM me, hit me up. I got a lot to say, as you can tell, but I have a lot to say that I think will help people to rise to the occasion and be the best you can be in your curvy body. All curvy superstars need to feel amazing.
You need to feel like a star that's going to shine.
Yeah, every day. It's your life. Let me tell you, somebody said this to me one day. Your life is a movie. You have to make a choice whether you're going to be the victim or you're going to be the star. Your life is a movie. You have to make a choice. I choose to be a star in my movie. I don't want to be a victim in nothing.
Lights, camera, action. Catch it.
Catch it.
Well, you kind of already said it, but, you know, just as a standard protocol, I always ask people, you know, if they want to leave something, a dose of vitamin D. It can be a song lyric. It can be a quote. It could be something that whatever could just shed some light, give some inspiration. What would you say?
I don't know. I think for me, what I would say, we all wear a crown. Just let yours shine.
Drop it. Bars. Did you catch it? The man behind the curves himself is saying, walk in your authority.
Walk in yourself. We all have a crown on our head. Just let it shine. Just let it sparkle. If you want to tilt it to the side, tilt it to the side. But just don't wear the crown and let the light go dim on it. Let it shine.
Wow. You old bundle of inspiration.
You know.
I'm so grateful for Mother Mary. I'm so grateful for our friendship.
Me too. I love her.
You know, you really opened up a huge lens for me. Not only of just what's possible in my body, but just even the possibility of dreams. Because it's one thing, like when we say we have our own dreams, but it's another to witness it. Yeah. And just down to you just speaking existence of Whitney, and then just how it manifested, and just how many conversations you've been a part of because you allowed your voice to be heard. And you also have been a megaphone for so many women just like me.
I feel blessed, and I'm just beginning. So we'll see what happens.
You know, they say it's not over until it's over. And as long as you listen to it, it ain't over.
Not yet.
So Snell, I want to thank you. Thank you for sharing the conversation.
Great conversation. I enjoyed myself. You got me to talk about a lot of stuff. I hope I didn't bore anyone, but this is my journey. And this is where I'm at. And, you know, it's been incredible highs and lows in this journey, but I'm grateful for all of it.
Well, I hope all of you are grateful for this time with Snell, and that you walked away of knowing that you have a ground and it's your duty to shine. You're starring in your movie, lights, camera, action. This is the man behind the curves, the one that extends the conversation so that it can be received and communicated with all. A person that has stood forth to say they want to be an example and to be a voice for the voiceless. So now it's just your turn to step up. Make sure that you go ahead and check out the website, Modern Curves. Make sure you follow him on social media, Timothy Snell 1, and check out the Tim Tips. Make sure you understand the importance of the shape, the slim, the smooth. Get the foundation, because when you got great foundation, you got so many things to build upon, and more importantly, the more curves you have, the more possibility you have. Live a life that's limitless, and make sure that you step into the possibility and step into the realm of creating your imagination. Life is for the living, so let's live. I appreciate you, Snell. I love you. And I appreciate each and every one of you that have been tuning in to Vitamin D. And guess what? If you enjoyed this conversation, you got to check it out on YouTube. Yes, on YouTube, where you can actually see what's going on in the studio. Also, I want to encourage you that if you want some more Vitamin D outside of this, make sure you follow me at Dawn Dai Speaks. And in the meantime, in between time, until next time, I want you to always remember that you are your greatest asset.